The sun hung high in the sky over the spacious parking lot of an upscale car dealership, where the polished lines of luxury vehicles gleamed like trophies. In stark contrast, Jenna knelt beside her aging sedan, its hood propped open like a broken bird struggling to take flight. Sweat dripped from her brow as she wrestled with the engine, her calloused hands working deftly, every twist of the wrench punctuated by the rhythmic hum of the nearby Tesla showroom. "Look at her," a voice dripped with disdain, cutting through the air like a shard of glass. It was Victor Hale, the millionaire whose wealth had built his empire but left him emotionally bankrupt. He leaned against his pristine Model S, arms crossed, his smile a polished veneer hiding years of hollow victories. "You really think you can fix that thing?" he scoffed, laughter spilling from his lips like a bitter poison. Jenna's heart sank, but she gritted her teeth, the taunts of the powerful man echoing against the engine's sputtering breaths. She had learned to ignore the laughter, to drown out the doubt. There was something to salvage here, something worth fighting for, even amidst the mockery of the privileged. Jenna wiped her brow with the back of her hand, her fingers streaked with grease and determination. That sedan was a relic of better days, a gift from her late father, the only thing she had left of him besides the memories that drifted through her thoughts like autumn leaves. Each rusted bolt and cracked window frame told a story of sacrifice, of nights spent at the diner after classes to pay for her son's school supplies and late mornings spent squeezing every dollar to stretch their budget. The world had taught her resilience, and as she struggled with the engine, thoughts of her son faded into the background. In the illumination of the sun, her dark hair fell around her face, framing a visage that had weathered years of hardship. Beside the broken sedan, Jenna envisioned her son's future. She imagined him standing tall in a world where privilege didn't dictate success. She wasn't just fixing a car, she was laying the groundwork for his dreams. Perhaps that was foolish, yet it was all she had. The laughter of Victor Hale ricocheted through her mind, but it had transformed from a source of humiliation to a catalyst for her determination. All her life, Jenna had faced obstacles, but the laughter of others, especially those like Hale, who wielded wealth like a shield, only fueled her drive. As a single mother, she had learned to be resourceful, to study, and to repair not just machines but emotions, the subtle art of navigating a world that often dismissed her. She tightened the bolt, hoping her actions would say more than words ever could. There was strength in humility, and she carried it like armor. Meanwhile, Victor Hale watched Jenna from a distance, his heart a cavernous void that echoed with unfulfilled desires. Wealth surrounded him, a fortress of luxury and success that isolated him from the world he had so fiercely conquered. He had bought his way through life, accumulating accolades and possessions that felt hollow against the backdrop of his childhood. Each achievement was a step further from the boy who had been laughed at for his worn-out sneakers and second-hand clothes. Even with his flourishing empire of luxury cars, Victor felt disconnected. The laughter that filled his life was nothing but a mask, a distraction from the churning emptiness within. Years of striving had left him disciplined, yes, but also encased in a silent prison, where no one truly understood the sacrifices he had made or the friends he had lost along the way. As he watched Jenna toil away, she stirred something deep within him, reminding him of everything he had cast aside for success. Victor leaned against the polished surface of his Tesla, arms crossed in expression unreadable. He relished the superiority of his position, yet there was an inexplicable twinge of guilt mingled with the satisfaction. His laughter had held a sharp edge, but perhaps it masked his own insecurities, fears of being seen as less than perfect. Beneath the surface of that mockery, he found himself questioning, was he really the one with the upper hand? He sighed as Jenna continued her work, more fascinated by her grit than he cared to admit. In that golden afternoon, the dichotomies of their lives painted a stark contrast. While Jenna fought against the world with each twist of her wrench, Victor hid his vulnerabilities beneath layers of material wealth. She was determined, undeterred by social status or judgment, while he was trapped in a gilded cage of his own making. Both lived their truths, separated by ambition but bound by an invisible thread of human experience, the desire for recognition and respect, however different the paths they walked. As the sun began to dip, Jenna finally hoisted the hood shut. With a sense of triumph, she wiped her hands on her jeans and inhaled deeply. Strength radiated from her, and in that moment, she felt something stir inside her, a flicker of hope. Perhaps her humble efforts might not go unrecognized after all. In the shadows, Victor's laughter faded, replaced now by a contemplative silence. For the first time, he questioned the trajectory of his life. Was it enough to merely build an empire? Would his legacy be defined solely by wealth, or was there something more profound he could learn from someone like Jenna? As he turned to enter the Tesla showroom, a feeling of bewilderment nestled in his chest, igniting an unexpected curiosity that would challenge everything he thought he knew. The next day dawned with a crispness that felt reflective of the shifting energies at the dealership. Jenna had returned, not to fix her car, but to inquire about the parts she needed. She parked in the far corner, hesitant to step into the world of luxury that both intrigued and intimidated her. The sun glinted off the showroom, where Victor Hale held court, his presence commanding the attention of every passerby like a rare artifact on display. As Jenna entered, she felt the intensity of Victor's gaze. He stood beside a glossy Model X, engaging a small crowd with his rehearsed charm. When their eyes met, a flicker of recognition flashed between them, but he quickly turned away, dismissing her presence as inconsequential. "We're launching a new autonomous feature today," he announced, the words oozing with pride, an innovation that will redefine the market. "Much like my entire career." Jenna turned her focus to a brochure that caught her eye, her resolve hardening. She had seen enough dismissive attitudes in her life, not just from men like Victor, but from a society that often overlooked the tenacity of single mothers. She was here for business, and she wouldn't let the echoes of yesterday's taunts cloud her purpose. Suddenly, a commotion erupted in the showroom. A display vehicle system malfunctioned, causing a series of alarms to blare, lights to flash, and a panicked technician to scramble. Victor's confident facade cracked slightly as he threw his hands in the air. "This is unacceptable. We can't afford to lose customers over a simple oversight," he snapped, the crowd's amusement fading into concern. Just at that moment, Jenna stepped forward, drawn by an instinctive urge to help. "I might be able to help," she offered, her voice steady and calm, cutting through the chaos like a soft blade. Victor shot her an incredulous look, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "You? Fix a Tesla? Just because you managed to fix that relic of a car doesn't mean you can handle this," he dismissed, waving her away like an irritating fly. But Jenna stood firm, her resolve deepening against his derision. "Look, I've spent my life fixing broken things. Machines, relationships, and yes, even my own failures. Just give me a chance." Her unyielding gaze pierced through Victor's arrogance, and a flicker of interest ignited within him, though he would never admit it aloud. With a reluctant nod and a hint of skepticism, Victor stepped aside, allowing her access to the inoperative vehicle. Jenna's hands moved deftly, her knowledge revealing itself in the way she assessed the situation. She quickly identified the software issue, an error message flashing on the screen that stemmed from a recent update. As she explained her findings in concise terms, a few of the technicians gathered around, intrigued by her ability to translate complex problems into simple language. "Looks like your system needs a reboot, integrated with back-end diagnostics," she stated, working through the algorithms in her mind. "It shouldn't take long, but I'll need a moment to access the main control unit." Victor, watching from a distance, felt an unsettling mix of irritation and admiration emerge within him. This woman, this single mother, knew more about these intricate machines than he had ever dared to assume. She was dismantling his preconceived notions as effortlessly as she worked through wires and circuits. Within minutes, Jenna had the vehicle running smoothly again, its alarms silenced. The small crowd erupted in applause, with technicians whispering praises of her ingenuity. Victor's expression faltered, there was a bewilderment in his eyes that spoke volumes. The image he had painted of her shattered, revealing not just a mechanic, but a problem solver, a woman who had fought against odds he wouldn't dare understand. As she stood, a warm flush spread across her cheeks, a hint of pride breaking through the weary lines etched on her face. For the first time, she felt recognized, not just as an underdog to be ridiculed but as someone whose struggles and triumphs were worthy of respect. In that moment, Victor felt the weight of his earlier laughter heavy in his chest, burdening him with thoughts he could no longer dismiss. Their eyes met again, but this time, the silence between them held a different weight, a recognition of shared humanity. Beneath the veneer of their contrasting lives, flickers of understanding began to intertwine. For Victor, the walls of his carefully constructed world trembled. For Jenna, an unexpected acceptance began to bloom, a testament to the resilience that had always been her ally. The atmosphere in the Tesla showroom buzzed with newfound energy after Jenna's demonstration. Victor watched her from a corner, his mind racing, trying to reconcile the image he had held of her with the undeniable brilliance she'd just displayed. The applause had faded, but the admiration lingered, and he felt a strange urge to engage her, a desire to understand what lay beneath her grit. "Not bad for a relic mechanic," he said, attempting to mask the respect creeping into his voice with a dose of sarcasm. Jenna turned from the crowd, her brow raised, silently challenging him to break through the barrier he had constructed. "Maybe next time I'll teach you how to turn a wrench without making it look like a dance-off," she retorted, a spark of humor lightening the air between them. Victor chuckled, the sound startling him with its ease. "You think you can out-wrench me?" A playful challenge hung in the air like an unspoken pact, bridging the gap between their disparate worlds. "How about we see who can fix the next issue that comes up around here," he suggested, taking a step closer, interest growing beyond mere curiosity. A chance to collaborate felt exhilarating, the thrill of shared purpose palpable. "Fine," Jenna replied, her determination unwavering. "But if I outfix you, you'll have to let me give a workshop for single moms. There are too many out there who could use the skills." Victor considered her proposition, the thought igniting something within him. "And if I win?" he asked, folding his arms, a playful smirk on his lips. "You have to join me at the next charity gala." The back and forth felt foreign yet exhilarating, a dance of mutual respect that neither had anticipated. As the technicians prepared for the next vehicle to arrive, they found themselves setting up a makeshift workspace amid a strange buzz of anticipation. Jenna dove into her expertise with enthusiasm, diagnosing issues, while Victor paused, absorbing her methods. He watched her deftly navigate the complexities of the Tesla's operating system, fielding questions from the curious technicians around her. The respect she'd fought for in that moment was palpable. She was no longer just a single mother in a parking lot but a figure of authority, a teacher of sorts. "I never realized how versatile you are," Victor admitted quietly, almost as if he were revealing a vulnerability tucked away beneath layers of bravado. Jenna glanced up from her task, surprised by the candid tone. "It's not about being a millionaire or knowing the right people," she said, her voice steady. "It's about making a choice to learn, to push through, even when people like you laugh." The vulnerability in her words pierced his confidence, shifting his perspective. He felt drawn to her tenacity, realizing that her laughter was rooted in resilience more than comedy. It was a shared experience he had buried deep, and suddenly, the memory felt less like a burden. As they tackled the emerging faults of the next vehicle, a sense of camaraderie blossomed, echoed in the way they began to exchange knowledge, Victor offering insights from his world of luxury engineering and Jenna imparting practical wisdom that transformed complex problems into straightforward solutions that anyone could grasp. Hours slipped by like minutes as they worked side by side, a rhythm developing in their banter. Each shared fix seemed to chip away at the walls they had both built. Victor began to see Jenna not just as a competitor but as an equal, while she started embracing the possibility that wealth didn't necessarily equate to worth. In those fleeting moments, vulnerability wrapped them in a common thread, an unspoken acknowledgement that, despite the gulf between their lives, they were both seeking something greater. As the day faded into twilight, Jenna leaned against a freshly repaired Tesla, wiping her brow. "You know," she said, a contemplative smile creeping onto her face, "maybe there's a way to blend our worlds. You have access, I have the skills. Together, we could make a difference." Victor nodded thoughtfully, the gears turning in his mind. For the first time, he wasn't merely calculating a profit, he was envisioning impact. "I'd like that," he replied, a hint of sincerity coloring his tone. In the quiet that followed, they shared a moment of reflection, the understanding of their separate struggles uniting them in an unexpected bond. This collaboration felt like a breakthrough, not just in repairing machines, but in redefining who they were and what they stood to achieve together. Trust began to form in those spaces between their words, a promise to explore this newfound respect, and as they stood in the dimming light of the showroom, they understood that this was merely the beginning of something far more profound. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows through the Tesla showroom, and Jenna leaned against the gleaming surface of a Model X, her breath steadying as she recalled the chapters of her life that had led her here. Memories cascaded over her like an old film reel flickering into view, each frame steeped in resilience and sacrifice. Behind her calloused hands lay a story of loss, one that had etched lines of both determination and defeat across her heart. It all began with her father, a man of quiet strength, who had infused her childhood with love and lessons, teaching her how to wield tools to fix the broken things around the house, from a leaky faucet to an old bicycle. He had believed in her potential, constantly reminding her that hard work could mend the fractures that life produced. But the world had taken him too soon, leaving behind remnants of laughter echoing in empty rooms filled with unfulfilled dreams. The pain of his departure had wrapped around her heart like a vice, squeezing every ounce of joy from her adolescent years. In the wake of that loss, Jenna had stumbled into motherhood, her son a flickering light in the shadows of grief. With every shift at the diner, an endless ballet of orders and overflowing coffee, she poured not only her sweat but her brokenness into nurturing a future for him. She had been young, inexperienced, and sometimes terrified, but the vision of him playing soccer in the park, of him smiling with innocence, had become her anchor. The weight of her dreams hung precariously on her shoulders, but she continued to carry them, refusing to crush the fire that flickered within. Yet, life had a cruel way of testing her resolve. As the years passed, she encountered the harsh judgments of an unforgiving world. Each whispered comment about her station in life, each sly glance of disdain from others, felt like needles piercing through her skin. But Jenna had fought back, channeling that humiliation into fuel. She spent evenings enrolled in night classes, studying mechanics and engineering principles. She'd found solace in the hum of engines, in the problem-solving that came with repairing the impossibly complex machinery of life, finding brilliance beneath the surface of struggle. In the depths of those long nights filled with textbooks and greasy tools, Jenna had experienced moments of brilliance, of clarity. Fixing engines had become more than just a means to an end, it had transformed into an expression of her identity. Each project completed was a testament to her grit. But the world continued to regard her as a single mother struggling against giants, not a genius, not someone who could navigate the systems of luxury. That distorted view had begun to wane as she pulled herself up, scrambling up the rungs of her dreams and refusing to accept the dismissive laughter of men like Victor Hale. Meanwhile, Victor remained oblivious to the quiet storms that raged within Jenna's heart. He had constructed his life around accolades and material wealth, seeking validation in a world that rewarded pomp and circumstance. Growing up, he had fought his own demons, with parents whose high expectations had suffocated him, reducing joy to a mere pursuit of success. To him, laughter had always been a shield, a way of masking insecurity amidst the elite circles he now commanded. He had traded authenticity for status, and as he reflected on Jenna's resilience, he felt the first cracks in the armor of his carefully curated existence. In her presence, Victor found an unexpected mirror, one that reflected his discontent with the life he had built. She was a force of nature, brimming with authenticity and purpose, the kind of brilliance he had chased but never truly understood. As he observed her steady hands repairing machines, piecing together puzzles with an ease that belied her humble beginnings, he began to feel something stirring deep within, a longing for connection and recognition beyond monetary value, a yearning to reclaim the joy of creation he had once known. Their worlds, so starkly different, now threaded together by the invisible bond of their respective hardships. Each of Jenna's struggles had sharpened her resolve, while Victor's facade had left him isolated in a gilded cage. Through her, he began to see the beauty of resilience, the narrative of triumph woven through the fabric of pain. It was a perspective he had suppressed for far too long, and as the last rays of sunlight filtered through the showroom windows, he found a flicker of hope igniting in the depths of his heart. For Jenna, the recognition she sought was not merely about fixing cars or winning Victor's respect, it was about showing her son that tenacity could conquer any obstacle, that laughter could come from a place of love, not mockery. As her past unfurled within her mind, a realization blossomed: she would not just repair cars, she would forge an indelible legacy that whispered of resilience to generations to come. She could turn her pain into potential, transforming the laughter of derision into a symphony of success. The following morning brought an unusual chill, a silent anticipation wrapped around the Tesla dealership like mist. Jenna entered, her heart a steady drumbeat against the backdrop of yesterday's triumph. The sun streamed through the expansive glass walls, illuminating the polished surfaces of sleek vehicles. Yet today, the air felt different, charged, as if something monumental hung just beyond reach. She straightened her spine, a newfound purpose radiating from her. Victor stood in the center of the showroom, his expression unusually grave as he hovered over a cluster of technicians. Whispers ricocheted through the air, punctuated by the tension that replaced the previous day's revelry. Jenna took a step closer, her instincts peaking. The vibrant energy she had felt the day before faded, replaced by an underlying current of anxiety. It was then she overheard snippets of conversation and urgent recall looming over them, the consequences of which could cripple the company. "Every second counts," Victor declared, his voice low but filled with authority. "We cannot afford to let fear dictate our actions." The weight of his words hung heavily in the room, a reminder that their livelihoods, and perhaps the lives of countless drivers, were teetering on the edge of disaster. But Jenna felt something else beneath the urgency, a flicker of hope. With her heart racing, she stepped forward, the confidence she had gained from their previous collaboration igniting within her. "I can help," she interjected boldly, her voice rising above the din. The faces around her turned, a mix of skepticism and disbelief etching their features. Victor's gaze met hers, a spark of recognition igniting in his eyes. For a moment, she saw the glimmer of respect he had once been hesitant to show. "Jenna, this is a serious situation," he replied, his tone cautious yet nuanced. "We're dealing with matters of safety. This isn't just about fixing a car." Her resolve hardened. "I understand the stakes, Victor. But I've been fixing broken things my entire life. Just like yesterday, I can help you sort through this." The fire in her voice rang with clarity, resonating with unyielding sincerity. It was a plea not just for recognition but also for collaboration, a merging of their strengths to confront the crisis ahead. Victor hesitated, weighing the potential risks against the fortitude Jenna had shown. He glanced at the anxious technicians, aware of the eyes watching them both, some hopeful, others skeptical. A familiar tension rippled through him, reminiscent of the insecurities he had fought against for so long. But beneath that tension lay something more profound. "All right," he finally stated, determination lining his words. "Let's tackle this together." As they dove into the mechanics of the recall, the showroom transformed into a whirlwind of activity. Jenna's hands moved deftly, recalling principles learned in late-night classes and through years of hands-on experience. She worked alongside Victor, her knowledge flowing freely, intertwining with his expert understanding of the systems at play. Each spoken word carried weight, both a challenge and a chance for growth. Together, they dissected problems, their contributions merging into a cohesive problem-solving strategy. In that chaos, something beautiful occurred. Victor began to witness the depth of Jenna's expertise, how her experiences had shaped her as much as his riches had shaped him. As they sorted through paperwork and technical data, he found himself re-evaluating not just her value, but his own purpose. This single mother, who had once elicited laughter, was now an embodiment of strength and wisdom in an industry that had often overlooked the margins. Something shifted within him, like a bridge being constructed over a chasm of misunderstanding. As he encouraged the technicians to listen and learn from Jenna, he felt the necessity of changing how he viewed not just her, but the world around him. "You all need to understand," he announced with newfound authority, "success isn't solely reserved for those in suits. It's about recognizing brilliance in unexpected places." The tension gradually morphed into a vibrant collaboration, a sense of community forming within the dealership amidst the shadows of impending crisis. Jenna felt something awaken within her, a sense of purpose that went beyond mending cars. It was about fostering recognition for those who had been silenced by disdain. The atmosphere became charged with an energy that felt revolutionary. Together, they were redefining what it meant to succeed. As the day wore on and the crisis subsided, the familiar warmth of the sun returned, casting a golden light through the showroom. Amidst the success of the day, Victor turned to Jenna, admiration shimmering in his gaze. "You were right to push back for recognition, Jenna. We could have lost more than just a car's reputation today." Jenna held his gaze, gratitude washing over her, but this time, it was not just recognition she sought, it was a camaraderie that bridged their disparities and redefined their paths forward. In that moment, both Jenna and Victor found new versions of themselves. She felt empowered to seek a future where her skills could uplift others like her, while he began to see beyond wealth, recognizing the true value in connection and respect. Together, they had forged an unexpected alliance, one that promised to nurture not just their careers but the deeper legacy of resilience and community they chose to create together. And in that commitment lay the quiet strength to rise above the mockery and embrace the recognition they both deserved. As the sun began its descent, casting a warm, golden hue across the Tesla dealership, Jenna stood outside, her hands tucked into her pockets. The day had unfolded in unexpected ways, the tension had melted into camaraderie, and her heart swelled with a quiet pride. She watched as Victor engaged with the technicians, their laughter mingling with the evening breeze while she took a moment to breathe deeply, savoring the sweet sense of belonging that had blossomed amidst the chaos of the day. Her gaze drifted toward the far end of the parking lot, where her aging sedan sat, still a testament to her struggles but now viewed through a lens of triumph. It was more than metal and mechanics, it was a symbol of resilience, of the countless hours she had poured into making something broken whole again. Suddenly, a small figure crashed into her side, nearly knocking the wind from her. It was her son, a burst of energy, his face lit with uncontainable excitement. "Mom," he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling like stars against the twilight. "Did you see? You're on their website. They called you a genius." Jenna's heart swelled at the word, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. She knelt, meeting her son's wide-eyed gaze, the weight of his unwavering belief anchoring her amidst the rush of emotions. "They did," she replied softly, a smile breaking across her face. His small hands clutched her shoulders, shaking her gently as if to emphasize the magnitude of the moment. "I knew you could do it. You're the best." A humble warmth wrapped around her, grounding her in that fleeting moment. She didn't need the validation of others, she had found it within her son's innocent admiration, a reflection of hope and strength that transcended their struggles. The callous laughter of Victor Hale seemed distant now, a mere echo overshadowed by the brilliance of this connection. Jenna pulled him closer, grateful for the simplicity of that embrace, their shared laughter a bridge over the chasms of doubt that had once threatened to swallow her whole. As they stood together, a silhouette against the fading light, Jenna felt the course of her life shift. And in that sacred space, bound by love and understanding, she whispered, "You make me proud every day." The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a glow that lingered, a promise of new beginnings. In the twilight enveloping them, the world around them faded, leaving only the gentle hum of hope.